Yeehaw, soldiers! It's your boy, the Anime Sage, coming to another video, and this is essentially a Black Clover Chapter 1 review on, well, essentially my first experience of reading the Black Clover manga. So, yeah, these are my initial thoughts on, me going for Black Clover manga for the first time, and I'm going to start off with Chapter 1, just to get a bit of a big intro to this entire chapter as a whole. So, I'm going to, get into this. So we start off with the actual story of talking about, the Wizard King and stuff like that, and we have a bit of background to who's the strongest character in that verse, which that's pretty good. We get a bit of we have seen the Hokages, the Pirate Kings, and we've also seen a lot of these type of shown elements of these strong characters, and Black Clover is no different here as they present the Wizard King. Now, we go into the first couple chapters of introducing our main character, Asta, and of course, Yuno. Asta, multiple times, has shown to be a bit of a louder individual, a little bit more annoying. Seems to have a bit of a, crush on our little nun here, Sister Lucy. You gotta have the nun show her naughty side, But we do see a bit of a couple elements from Asta here as a bit of a character as we go through these chapters. He hasn't really had the potential to use magic before. His only hope has been that he could probably get a grimoire at the age of 15, which, that's pretty noticeable here in this chapter. And we have also seen that Yuno is a bit more talented than Asta by a wide margin in terms of magical prowess. Now, looking at the difference here in the first couple chapters, Yuno seems to be this, edgy guy who is kind of putting those little bit of Sasuke attitudes towards Asta, where he's kind of putting him down, but as we get through this chapter, that's kind of not as much the case. But we do know that these two have gone through the same orphanage together, and we will learn a bit later that they do have the same promise of becoming the Wizard King, and want to compete with each other, and they want to motivate each other, like rivals should. Now, we go into the actual, giving of the grimoire, and Asta is not given one when he's presented with it. He's not, but is given the 4-leaf clover grimoire, which kind of has connections to the Wizard King. Okay, or to more exact, the Sorcery Emperor. And when Asta tries to keep making this declaration of being a rival because he is his only rival, Yuno just calls it ridiculous. At the end of the day, you can see that Asta is a bit devastated from this, but he's not letting it, all of his work at that point in time go to waste. Then we go into the actual first villain, and is, chained up by this weird magical chain villain, and so he wants that grimoire. So, yeah, so essentially the bandit wanted to not only take that grimoire in order to get a connection to the Wizard King, but he ends up also putting a bit of a realization towards Asta, because when he puts them into those chains, yikes, well, he can apparently sense that he has absolutely zero magical talent. So this kind of at that point devastates Asta. And at this point, you got to question that of what happens if Asta is not given a bit of encouragement, because when you hear him almost debating whether or not to give up, steps in and is like, "Hey, who the hell are you calling loser? And then you go into a flashbacks of him going in about, him with Asta and stuff like that, and their promise together, and he would say that Asta is his rival, which is at a certain point giving him a bit of motivation to try again. Asta then is given that motivation, and he wants to beat the guy, and because of that, he gets this grimoire, a grimoire that seems to have him unlock a sword. And that sword ends up allowing him to get something that seems to have 5 clovers, which, oh boy. And then he uses it to defeat this chain villain, which, oh boy, and it seems like his journey is beginning to go forward. And then when we go back into Asta being saved again, he'll one day pay back Asta for his help, and they do have a pledge to keep their promise together of becoming Wizard Kings, or essentially Sorcery Emperors, and they fist bump at the end. So a lot of takeaways that come from this entire chapter when you go into the first part, and I'll also address a lot of criticisms towards Black Clover here in this little chapter 1, I guess in a way of a bit of a summary, but I want people to understand where it comes from. So when it comes to Black Clover, people need to realize that Asta at that point seems to, while he does have some form of similarities to, you could say, Naruto, he's not really that much there, because Naruto didn't have a lack of talent in chakra, something that, you know, was kind of vital to him. He just wasn't at the beginning talented and just had to work harder. Also, in this case, is more of a, you know, Rock Lee type of situation. But apparently he gets like this weird sword, and who knows what can come of that, you know? So at that point, I find it weird that he's being compared to a guy like Naruto when there's little comparisons towards these guys, because he apparently has zero talent in that field whatsoever. Then you go into Yuno, and a lot of people seem to compare him to Sasuke, but Sasuke at the beginning was not really supporting of Naruto at all, and saw Naruto as a loser and pathetic. It seems like with Yuno's actual feelings, he saw Asta as a bit of a rival to him and was a supporter to him, because they made the same promise to each other, that they wanted to become Wizard Kings together. Sasuke and Naruto had none of these common goals to reach a final destination together. Sasuke was busy trying to kill his brother before his destruction of his own clan, while Yuno, wants to, at this point, based on the first chapter, seems to want to become a Wizard King along with Asta, and they compete each other with that, and they both want to give each other some form of support of each other, as they made that same promise with kids. And it does make sense because they grew up together. So if you grew up together, you at least want to have each other encouraged, and because of that, you see that these two do have that bond together based off, and that's what continues to motivate Asta at the end from not going down a path of giving up. Because honestly, I do think that based off this chapter, if Asta had not gotten the encouragement and clutchness from Yuno, he might have given up right then and there, because if you're told that you don't have talent in anything, you will give up. So, and all it does take at the end of the day is one person to encourage you. And unlike Iruka, when it came to Naruto from going down the path of evil, it was a guy who's potentially a Sasuke archetype, where due to our antagonist, he's giving him that encouragement, which shows a lot of differences between Naruto and Black Clover. I just don't understand how you can even from the first chapter alone just like make these comparisons off of Naruto and Black Clover, because it's just not this, they're just different concepts. You also have to go over some of the themes of trying to not give up and which is a common shonen theme at the end of the day, but it depends, but that doesn't make a series bad necessarily, because when you have a series that at least has a never give up personality, you do have that there. And you also do have that point of where you need one person to at least give you encouragement, which is very accurate at times, because if you don't have a person that can at least help you in a way, you will eventually give up. And there are some good themes here in the Black Clover manga. When it comes down to it, you have like the encouragement of trying to go into, you also have the pursuit of happiness as well, because Asta's trying to pursue a final goal and destination, and he's trying to pursue what is going to make him happy, which is a very nice goal at the end of the day. And I know that's like something more American, I guess, but having the pursuit of a final goal and something that makes you happy should be something that's universal and a bit of a theme. You also do have some forms of, depression in a way, and just kind of realization that you don't have the ability to achieve your goals and stuff like that. And you get to those, and some of those, and this is just like a very interesting manga when you just base off the first chapter alone. I feel like a lot of people seem to try to like simplify stuff just because it's like, oh, it's shonen, or nothing can really have deeper themes, when that's not accurate at all, because a lot of mangas and stuff like that have deeper themes. You're just not reading properly. When it comes down to it, you just have to look through some of these themes. And when you see like character, and when you're trying to also make like, oh, well, this manga is like this, or this manga is like that, it's just not accurate, because they are both mangas of their own right, and they might have inspiration from other mangas to write their stories, but it doesn't make them the same. And they do, and it depends on how, and even if they were at least somewhat copying, I don't think that would at least speak to a quality of a manga. Trying to dismiss it as that is just like very inaccurate. It's just so, at the end of the day, it's just stupid. But when I see like some of the interesting magical abilities of like Black Clover, it's just a fun manga. It's just like an intro to like a fun manga, in my opinion. And to me, I think people need to give this manga more of a fair chance. I have seen some errors in the anime when it comes down to them not really executing things correctly when it comes to animation, and that's a period thing, along with them working on Boruto. I feel like the best experience does come from the manga because you do get caught up ahead. I know, reading's tough, I get it, but like, I would recommend reading the manga, you know? It's pretty good. Also, the manga makes use of very small text, such as when you go into like, so no matter how hard I try, I won't be able to use any magic. You might be right. Yuno was chosen by the 4-leaf clover. I always knew that was amazing. I must have been just an eyesore to him. When you see into where Asta's about to get to the point where he gives up, and you also see even smaller text that says, he has a point. No matter how much I try, this is something I just can't overcome. Maybe I should just give. And then that was the point where was like, hey, Asta's my rival. It was like, you see like the use of like small text and panels and stuff like that, and you just need to have the ability to pay attention to it. And you do have to see that there was a point where Asta and his thoughts were just like, oh shoot, I might not be able to achieve my dreams after all. And people were like, well, Asta was just like this like drone and stuff like that. No, there's a point that he was going to give up, you know? Like, there was a point. The Black Clover fans, like, you have to be like, well, Asta was never going to give up no matter what. No, there's a point was he was going to give up. And to those, like, and to people who are just going to try to, like, even, like, on the MHA side or, like, everywhere else saying, like, oh, it's not realistic for Asta to have these, like, dreams. Asta had the hope of, like, Grimoire growing up and to the age of 15, so he did have a reason to have hope, while Deku did not really have that hope at all because there are no pro heroes with a quirk. It wouldn't just make sense, and at the end of the day, that's just kind of how it goes. Like, you can't, like, there are different motivations that for every one of these MCs, and they all make sense, and it fits with the world. I'm sorry that you people can't really understand that at certain points, but there are better ways to accomplish that. And I do like the themes that just are portrayed from this manga in a way, and I do like how it portrays itself. I'm gonna be very interested on how this manga goes in the direction as I continue reading it. I've also been reading One Piece and a bit of One Punch Man, and I'm gonna be adding some other manga to the list. I have also Jujutsu Kaisen. Forgot about that. But looking for these mangas and stuff like that, I'm pretty interested on how this could all go. So at the end of the day, I feel like there are some very good themes within this manga. I think the manga they have a very solid first chapter in terms of an introduction, and I feel like it should be given a lot more credit than people really seem to be giving it, because just like going for this first chapter alone, there's a lot of quality to it in my opinion. So that's just about it for me. Thank you all for watching this little initial thoughts on Black Clover based on chapter 1, and I think I'll be going for more chapters in the future just to like make my thoughts more known and stuff like that. And let me know what you think about me potentially adding more reviews to this channel and stuff like that as I go through manga that I like, in addition to what ifs and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it for me. This has been your boy, the Anime Sage. Signing out eventually, so follow me on Twitter at AnimeStage4, Instagram anime_stage4, and of course join my Discord server, and yeah, that should be fun. Also get ready for What If Naruto Haki Part 2 tomorrow, and this has been your boy the Anime Stage signing out. Peace, Yort Ha. Stephanie Shea closes out. Bye bye. Peace, Yort Ha. Bye bye.
Hi, this is Stephanie Shea, voice actress for Sailor Moon, Hinata, Orihime, and you are watching Anime Sage.